be on our seat. Thank you very much. So this forum has been put together by the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Foundation in collaboration with MacArthur Foundation, CedarSeed Foundation, as well as the Yar'Adua Foundation. And to give our opening remark, I would like to call on Amara Nwakwa, who is the Director, Public Policy Initiative, Yar'Adua Foundation.
Wow. I didn't get a very good round of applause. Thank you, I appreciate that. Please, I would like to encourage some of us seated over here, if you could move forward a little bit, so we could occupy the front row seats here. That would be very, very kind of you. So just some of you at the back, just kindly move forward, if you don't mind. Thank you. Thank you. So, I am going to start this opening remarks by at least demystifying a few things for us, because I know some of us are wondering what's the connection between accountability, anti-corruption, and social inclusion. And I think that that connection, hopefully, by the end of today's event, we are able to make the connection ourselves in our minds, leaving this place. I think one of the things that has frustrated us who are involved in the fight against corruption is just how hard it is to do it in Nigeria. How many of us here, often have the feeling that when it comes to corruption in Nigeria, if we make progress today, tomorrow we go 10 steps backwards? If you just raise your hand. If you feel that frustration, that the anti-corruption, whatever we are fighting in Nigeria, is fighting us back and not working. I think that that's something that we have felt at the foundation here as well, that no matter how much we invest in the fight against corruption, the problem just seems to get a little worse. And I think a lot of that has been because we are focused on our efforts on anti-corruption on the state. What is the state doing? What is the government doing? But what we've learned in the last 5 years here at the Yar'Adua Foundation is that there is a lot of opportunity for us for anti-corruption efforts when we focus on ourselves, when we look at other things apart from the state, when our scope of our anti-corruption efforts focus on self-enforcement. What are the things that we as individuals, as citizens, can do better when we have power? We know that the state has a lot of power, but as individuals in our own various spheres, we have a bit of power. What do we do with that power, and how do we hold ourselves accountable? I think that's where a lot of the opportunity for addressing or fighting corruption in Nigeria and improving accountability. And also, this is an area where if we are successful, we can impact millions of lives. We can change people's lives. We can transform the experience that everyday Nigerians have when they interact with us, or when they interact with our businesses, when they interact with our organizations, or when they come into our house, our building, or something like that. We can change their experience. And if we can transform that experience, we can improve accountability in Nigeria. In 2018, for instance, the Disabilities Act was passed. there are a lot of the things in that act that require us to self-enforce. Government cannot force us to do some of the things that are contained in that act. It requires citizens to enforce on themselves certain ethics and certain behaviors. And I think that this is what the focus of today's conversations will be. I'm going to share a story with you guys. In 2002, I was opportune to be in Switzerland and the time when I was in Switzerland coincided with what they call the Swiss Expo. Now, during that exhibition, my host took me to, among other things that we saw during the exhibition, my host took me to a restaurant called Blindeku. Blindeku in German means blind cow, but it's the name of a game that is played in Europe where the person who is playing the game is blindfolded. And then you try to find your friend with the blindfold. And the people who you are looking for, you can't see them, but they will be teasing you and be calling your name until you can touch somebody. When you touch somebody, the person that you catch now becomes the it. And then that person now has to wear the blindfold. So that was the name of the restaurant. Now that restaurant was an interesting concept because the restaurant, there was no light let into the restaurant. So it was really dark. In fact, you can't see a single shaft of light once you enter that restaurant. Now, the patrons, the people who serve you in the restaurant, are either blind people or people with visual impairment. Those are the people who serve you in the restaurant. Now, once you enter that restaurant, you can't see anything. You are completely blind as far as that restaurant is concerned. You can't see even an inch in front of your face. It was a very surreal experience for me. And if you want to find out a bit more about Blindeku, you can go and Google it and read about it. There are two kinds of those restaurants in the world. Both of them are in Switzerland. And they are a surreal experience because they allow people who are normally have no visual impairments at all to experience what it is like to be blind. And believe me, it is a completely disorienting experience for someone who's used to seeing everything. And in that restaurant, you now have to rely and trust people who cannot see to guide you through. So when we got to that restaurant, as you enter, you have to be led by your hand by one of the patrons in the restaurant. That's somebody who cannot see, has to lead you by the hand and guide you to your seat. Without their help, you cannot find your seat. Without their help, you will stumble and fall. They have to literally hold you by the hand and guide you and tell you when to sit down and how to sit down. They are the ones who bring your food, your tea, whatever it is. They know what is inside. You cannot see. You have to trust that whatever they tell you, if this is spaghetti, that what is on that plate is spaghetti. Now, in that experience, there was a couple in front of us when we entered Blindeku. And that couple, the woman, when she entered the place, she thought she could handle the experience, but she freaked out. She started screaming. So until they had to bring her out of the place for her to calm down because she was completely disoriented by the experience. Now, many of you don't know what it feels like not to be able to see what is in front of you. Many of you don't realize what that experience feels like. And I would invite you to put yourself in the shoes of people with disability because empathy connects us to accountability, helps us to know what we do, how we live, what we take for granted, how that harms or reduces the opportunities that are available to other people like us. And when you find yourself in a position where whatever it is that you do, whatever it is that you need, you rely on someone who otherwise you thought had a disability, it teaches you a lot. And that experience has stayed with me for a long time and still stays with me till today. At the Yar'Adua Foundation, we have tried to learn and inculcate this experience, and we are still learning. And we are grateful for all the partners that have helped us to learn and to internalize this empathy that leads to us doing things better. And one of those partners is CedarSeed Foundation, who we worked with to do a research to look at the impacts of accountability and corruption on people with disability. And I think today we'll be hearing a bit more about what that research found out and how we as able people can do a bit more to ensure that corruption does not impact people with disabilities disproportionately, but also that our actions and our inactions do not make the situation worse. Now, I'm also grateful to Yar'Adua Foundation, who has also helped us. The Yar'Adua Foundation has also helped us here at the Yar'Adua Foundation to understand and improve our workplace culture and how we relate to people with disabilities. And I would encourage everyone here, people from other civil society organizations, to engage with these organizations like Yar'Adua Foundation and CedarSeed Foundation, and open your mind to learn from these organizations about how we can do better as pro-accountability actors to be more inclusive, to make sure that our accountability efforts have impact on people with disabilities. Now, today we are going to also see a video vignette called The New Hire. That video vignette is going to look at some of the things that, that video vignette is going to highlight some of the institutional barriers that some of us may not be paying attention to, but adversely affects the integration of people with disability in places of work in Nigeria. At the Yar'Adua Foundation, like I said, we are still learning, but we remain dedicated and committed to promoting good governance, transparency, and accountability in Nigeria. And our gender equality and social inclusion principles remain forefront of all our projects. And we are striving to create or to contribute to the creation of a nation that values and supports all her citizens. So today I encourage you, whoever you are, whether you're a pro-accountability actor or you are here just out of curiosity, that you should ensure that whatever effort that you make in the work that you do, that you should ensure that people with disabilities are not left behind in our pursuit or your pursuit for profit or your pursuit for a better Nigeria. And if we work together, we all can overcome the challenges that are posed by both corruption and discrimination, because today we will learn that those two things are sides of two sides of the same coin. Now, finally, I would like to express our gratitude to the MacArthur Foundation, whose generous support has enabled this event to take place, and also supports the entire On Nigeria program that within which this program has emanated. And I would also want to thank many of our On Nigeria partners who are here today in the audience who are supporting this event. Once again, I want to thank you for your presence and your participation in this vital dialogue on accountability and social inclusion in Nigeria. You're welcome.
Thank you very much, Amara. As I mentioned earlier, this event has been put together not only by the Shehu Musa Yar'Adua Foundation, but also by the MacArthur Foundation and CedarSeed Foundation. And at this point, I would like to call on the Executive Director of the CedarSeed Foundation to come and give her remarks. However, before she is given the microphone, I would like to read out her biography. Miss Lois Auta is a Nigerian disability rights advocate and social entrepreneur who currently serves as Executive Director of the CedarSeed Foundation. Ms. Auta has been actively involved in disability advocacy and activism in Nigeria for over a decade. She founded the CedarSeed Foundation in the year 2012 to promote the inclusion and empowerment of persons with disability in Nigeria. The foundation focuses on education, healthcare, economic empowerment, and advocacy programs for persons with disability in Nigeria. She served as the National Secretary of the Joint National Associations of Persons with Disability from 2014 to 2018, and currently serves as the President of the NGO Committee on Rights of Persons with Disability at the United Nations. Ladies and gentlemen, Ms. Lois Alta.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, my name still remains Lois Alta. I'm excited to be here this morning, and I'm glad to see you all. Thank you for taking your time to empathize on issues of persons with disabilities. Thank you very much, Mr. Amara, for that powerful remarks and the inspiring story you shared. It has touched me. Yes, in Nigeria, we go through some barriers on our day-to-day activities. From medical barrier to attitudinal barrier to infrastructural barrier and institutional barriers. These are barriers that are stopping us to showcase our capacity, our competency, and character. I'm proud of Yar'Adua Foundation for being disabled friendly, right from the car park to the entry and exit point. Thank you for being inclusive. Please, a round of applause for Yar'Adua Foundation. And I'm also proud of MacArthur Foundation for believing on issues of disability in this country. They have supported many organizations of persons with disabilities, and we're happy they are doing that. Having said that, Article 27 of United Nations Convention on the Right of Persons with Disabilities talks about equal opportunities for graduates with disabilities when it comes to work and employment. Section 6, subsection 29 of Nigerian Disability Act also talks about the right to work and employment of persons with disabilities who went to school. the missing link, the gap between persons without disabilities and persons with disabilities when it comes to the statistics of employment is 28.1%. This is sad. This is not a story to write home about. Among us, we have engineers, we have medical doctors, we have accountants. Madam Patience from Advocacy for Women with Disabilities Initiative is an accountant. She's right here seated beside me. We have lawyers, Barrister Apomida, who is going to be speaking later. She's a lawyer. And among us, I also believe that we can be engaged in politics. We can become the president of this country if the level playing field is given to us. Chike ran for presidency in 2019. I ran for House of Reps in 2019 and 2022/2023. 36 persons with disabilities ran for elective positions in this 2023, and none of them, I repeat, none of them could win. Why? Because of those barriers I mentioned earlier. We did a research with the support of MacArthur Foundation in partnership with Yar'Adua Foundation in 2022. And the report of that research is something else. Corruption has affected many persons with disabilities because funds that were supposed to be given to us to empower us and invest in our lives have been mismanaged. And that leads to unemployment, it leads to poverty, it leads to sickness, it could even lead to death. I will never forget during COVID-19, when we lost one of our members in Jos. She was sick, a physically challenged lady in a wheelchair. She couldn't afford hospital bills. And that was how we lost her. Is it gender-based violence, corruption, to unemployment, to gender-based violence? The impact affects us negatively. We need to start believing in persons with disabilities. Believe in us first that we can do the job. Give us the space, give us the platform, give us the opportunity, and we will do extraordinary well. So first recommendation is to believe in us, believe in persons with disabilities. See our abilities first before our disabilities. Work with us, bring us to the table, bring the book and the pen, and we will share the ideas together. 5% reservation of job employment opportunities is what is written or provided in Nigerian Disability Act. Are we implementing it? So we need to start reminding government that 4 years gone, 1 year remain for the period of grace that that legal document has given to us. Have we achieved the 5%? No. It is sad. It is sad. In this room today, there are many graduates. If I ask them to raise their hand, you will see. I know them. There are many graduates seated in this room today without jobs. I feel like crying. We need to hold government accountable. It is our right. And that was why I mentioned Article 27 and Section 6, subsection 29 of Nigerian Disability Act. Use it and achieve your right to employment. Tell them it's your right. They have to give it to you. And that was why you went to school. Please, it is high time that we take up that right. They say the violence, take it by force. Take it. It is our right. Government institutions, private institutions, we want to see you implementing that act. We want to see you giving jobs to persons with disabilities. And before I leave, I will leave you with this adage that says, nothing for us without us. Thank you very much.
So the next on the agenda is a video vignette. It's titled The New Hire.
Is very impressive. You are exactly what we are looking for.
Thank you, sir.
We look forward to welcoming you to our team.
Thank you very much, sir.
Are you nervous?
Yes. What if it doesn't go as...
They're lucky to have you on their team.
Mrs. Umar, good morning. A problem? Hold on. Give me a moment, please.
Has Mrs. Umar arrived?
Yes, she has.
Then why is she not in my office?
I'm not quite sure how to say this.
What do you mean? Where is she?
Outside.
Why is she outside?
Sir, I think it's best you...
Take me to her. Mrs. Umar? Get me the building manager at once.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. I hope you have settled in.
Yes, I have. Thank you, sir.
That is good to hear. Please, do have a good day.
And you too.
Our keynote address is going to be given by the Executive Secretary, National Commission for Persons with Disability, in Mr. James David Lalu, who is represented by Patience Ogolo Dixon, who is head of Women and Gender, National Commission for Persons with Disability. Mr. James David Lalu is a Nigerian disability rights advocate and civil servant. In 2019, he was appointed Executive Secretary of the National Commission for Persons with Disability by President Muhammadu Buhari. The NCPD is a federal agency responsible for the coordination of policies and programs aimed at promoting the inclusion and welfare of persons with disability in Nigeria. In his role, he has been instrumental in the implementation of various policies and programs aimed at improving the lives of persons with disability in Nigeria. He has also been actively involved in advocacy efforts aimed at increasing public awareness of disability issues in the country. He is a member of various professional and social organizations and has served on several boards and committees. I'd like to call forward his representative, Patience Ogolo Dixon.
Thank you very much. Good morning, everyone. I am kind of wearing so many, one or two caps today, because Lois already as a representative of advocacy for women with disability. I've always fought in